You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. All right, breaking news just came across the wire. A top aide, like his chief of staff, to Fetterman has tweeted 3 photographs of Fetterman in the hospital. All right, this is in the Hill. A top aide to Senator John Fetterman, Democrat from Pennsylvania, said that the senator is well on his way to recovery as he remains hospitalized to receive treatment for clinical depression. Well, listen, I don't want to be unsympathetic to someone that's suffering with mental illness of any kind, okay? But if you're suffering from depression to such a level that you're hospitalized for it, should you really be a United States senator who, according to news reports, co-sponsored a bill the other day?
No,
don't you have to be of sound mind?
No, that's incredible. I mean, for them to even act like this is a normal day at the office.
Yeah, he's a mental patient.
If you're suffering from depression, you're not going to make good decisions here.
No, you're not.
I mean, I think I think everybody can agree on that.
Adam Jettleson, Fetterman's chief of staff, tweeted 3 pictures of the freshman senator during a meeting Monday that's today, at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center, where they discussed a number of items Fetterman is expected to work on in the coming weeks. So you go to his Twitter. This is Adam Jettleson, and he wrote this: productive morning with Senator Fetterman at Walter Reed discussing the rail safety legislation, farm bill, and other Senate business. John is, shouldn't he call him the senator? John is well on his way to recovery from depression, right? And wanted me to say how grateful he is for all the well wishes. He is laser focused on Pennsylvania and will be back soon. So there's 3 photographs.
Yeah, it's the front top story of the Daily Mail now.
Yeah, and his chief of staff has hair like a girl. I don't know how you describe that hairstyle. They're sitting in a room at a table, and he's looking over papers, and there's files. He's reading these papers. And honestly, it looks like, I know he's in a hospital, right? He's in a mental ward. But it looks like Fetterman is in like a white-collar prison and a visit with his attorney going over their case.
Well, I will say this. He has lost a lot of weight.
Yeah.
I mean, he is down about 50 pounds.
Yeah.
And I wonder if they removed that big growth on his neck while he was in there.
The back of the when he covered up with the hood?
I think they did. I don't see it. Now it's on the other side.
Yeah.
But that thing, if he's lost a lot of weight, that thing would really be sticking out. I think they removed that that growth. Thank God.
I'm going to read through this story in the Daily Mail. The first bit I read was from the Hill. But just ask yourself this. If Rand Paul or Ted Cruz were in a mental ward at a hospital, do you think that the media would be calling on them to resign?
Oh,
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
United States senators.
Hold on, let me say real quick. It's amazing. When Trump was in office, they had all these psychiatrists coming on diagnosing him and telling him he was a mental patient and this and that. Now they literally have a mental patient, and they think it's a good thing.
Yeah. He's a role model to other lunatics. So Fetterman is suffering from clinical depression, right? And I've known a lot of people that have suffered from depression. Everyone's been depressed. Sure. But it's very unusual to be hospitalized for 18 days so far, by the way, for it. There were only 100 United States senators, okay? They're pretty high up on the totem pole. It's not like the House where there's 435 of these jokers, okay? And they make decisions that not only affect all of our lives, but they're involved in international agreements and things that affect the world. And if you're in a mental ward for a mental illness, no disrespect for those that suffer from mental illness, I'm sympathetic, but you should not be a United States senator. Okay, so this is in the Daily Mail. The Pennsylvania Democrat entered Walter Reed 18 days ago, leaving him absent on crucial Senate votes. His staff says they've been in contact with him regularly on work matters. Productive morning with Senator Fetterman at Walter Reed discussing the rail safety legislation, farm bill, and other Senate business. Chief of Staff Adam Jettleson wrote in a tweet, along with photos of him and Fetterman looking over documents that could be anything. I mean, this could just be...
It said the railway document. That's what he's working on.
How do we know that?
I'm just saying that's what they tell you. that he's working on some railway legislation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the railway to the loony bin.
I think he's signing his patient forms. To give what is it when you sign to give them the right to do stuff? What do they call that in the hospital? My mind is a blank.
What, the medical?
When you sign their permission? No,
I don't know.
Never mind.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, it'll come to me.
Maybe I should get a room with you at the Walter Reed Mental. While in the hospital, Senator Fetterman signed onto the bipartisan rail safety legislation introduced after the train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Now, if you're suffering from depression to such a degree that you're hospitalized for it, do you really think your doctors are going to have you look over information involving the East Palestine rail derailment where people are being poisoned?
Consent forms. That's what I meant to say.
Oh, okay.
He's signing consent forms for a procedure.
What? Yeah.
For procedure, probably.
Oh, yeah.
They took a picture while he's signing them.
A member of the Agricultural Committee, the senator has had a hand drafting the farm bill Congress votes on every 5 years. Fetterman sought inpatient treatment for severe depression after being hospitalized for dizziness after the State of the Union on February 7th. His wife posted on Twitter in response to the photos, society's expectations and traditional gender roles play a part in why men are less likely to discuss or seek help for their mental health. Oh, he's too manly. Fetterman's too manly, so he didn't speak up. It's society's fault. You know, maybe he got himself committed to get away from his wife, Ava Patroen. As always, John continues to challenge the conversation. So human, so kind, so cute.
Cute.
That's what his wife tweeted. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you like,
why isn't
Herman Munster?
Why are we watching him with the chief of staff and not his wife in the hospital with him?
I don't know.
Last week, Don Jr. lobbed a cruel attack on the Democrat at CPAC, calling him a vegetable, saying he'd be better employed as a bad guy at a grocery store than a United States senator. Yeah, I can't disagree with that. You know, this is just, to me, so insane. And, you know, I know there's probably people that are listening to this program that have been hospitalized for mental illness, and I really don't mean to.
Yeah, we shouldn't make fun.
I am not making fun of people with mental illness, and I am sympathetic to people that are suffering from depression and any other type of mental illness.
It's not fun.
But if you are a sitting United States senator and you are hospitalized for any mental illness, you have no business holding federal office. You should be resigning from that office and letting somebody else take over that's not a mental patient.
Agreed.
You know? And the media...
He should step aside. He really should. That's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And the media, they just think that he's like a role model to those suffering from mental health in this country.
Well, they think Kamala's a role model, so...
Well, she is a role model to homewreckers. You know, you can date a married man and become vice president too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's funny.
There's nothing, you know, let me tell you.
True.
There's nothing worse than a homewrecker. Okay.
That's
so
for sure.
Over the weekend, I don't know if you guys have seen this video. Biden walked across the bridge in Selma with Sharpton.
I saw that.
And Jesse Jackson was in a wheelchair, and Biden and Sharpton can barely stand up. The only reason that Sharpton and Biden did not fall down is because they were being held up by other members of the crowd. There was one woman who had her arm in arm with Biden. You know, I don't know if he sniffed her hair or not. And then he's holding the hands of an elderly man next to him. And him and Sharpton just cannot walk. And Jesse Jackson's wheelchair keeps going over Al Sharpton's feet. It was a mess. Now, this is the thing about Selma. And, you know, they do this every year. And, you know, those people that walked across the bridge in Selma with Martin Luther King are American heroes, okay? What happened in Selma is one of the most important moments in American history. But it is misrepresented every year when they do this. It is misrepresented. Those that walked across the bridge in Selma, the African Americans who walked across the bridge, were Republicans.
Yep.
And they were attacked and had their heads beaten in by police officers on horseback.
Who were probably Democrats.
Not probably, Kathy. They were Democrats. And the reason that those white racist Klansmen attacked the black Americans walking across that bridge in Selma is because they did not want them to vote Republican.
Yeah, true.
And that is the whole thing that happened in Selma. And the Democrats have been able to co-opt it to act. Joe Biden, okay, I want you to think about this now. Joe Biden is so old, right? When he got into politics, the people that he was working with, the senior senators at the time, the people that mentored him, were the ones that were attacking the black people walking across the bridge.
Right.
And history has been completely rewritten on Selma. Even when they had that movie a few years ago, they left all this out. And the reason that is because the history books are written by liberal college professors, Democrats, and they have rewritten all of our history. Mm-hmm. And it's really disgusting what they've done. Now, there's a terrible story going on right now. There were 4 Americans who have been kidnapped.
Oh, this is awful.
In Mexico, and I've seen the video a couple times. It looks to me the 4 Americans are African Americans. Let me read this from CBS News. 4 U.S. citizens have been kidnapped after gunmen opened fire on their vehicle in northern Mexico, in the border city of Matamoros.
Which is in one of the areas you're not supposed to go to, by the way. Yeah. There's certain areas that are a high level for risk for Americans, and that's one of the areas.
The 4 Americans entered the town across the border from Brownsville, Texas, Friday. They were traveling in a white minivan with North Carolina license plates. The FBI San Antonio Division Office said in a statement Sunday that the vehicle came under fire shortly after it entered Mexico. All 4 Americans were placed in a vehicle. It looked like a flatbed pickup truck, and these gunmen were well-dressed, wearing flak vests, like the bulletproof vest and everything. They look like mercenaries.
Well, they said they think they got in the middle of the crosshairs of 2 gangs fighting.
They knew they were Americans. All 4 Americans were placed in a vehicle and taken from the scene by armed men. The FBI has offered a $50,000 reward. A post on Twitter appears to show the moment they were kidnapped. One woman walking on her own was forced into a white pickup truck. Men armed with long guns and wearing bulletproof vests are seen dragging one person after another into the vehicle. The conditions of the 4 are unknown. The U.S. ambassador to Mexico, Ken Salazar, appointed by Biden, blah, blah.
So according to the FBI, Americans are worth $12,500 each.
That's exactly right. Yeah, $12,500. Yeah. Now, let me tell you, this happened on Friday. It is now Monday. And let me tell you, what's Biden doing about it? Nothing. He's tripping over Al Sharpton and Jesse Jackson in his wheelchair at the bridge in Selma. And go watch that video. It's so bizarre. Biden can't even. If Trump was president of the United States, they would have already been returned. And let me tell you, the media out there should demand this. If Biden were a real man, as opposed to just some corrupt, senile old coot, who just cares about getting paid through corrupt deals, selling the only thing he has to sell, which is America out. He would go on television right now, live, and tell Mexico that if those Americans are not returned by midnight tonight alive, all foreign aid to Mexico.
That's right. That's what Trump would do.
Will be stopped. All cruise ships, all travel to Mexico by Americans will be forbidden. Americans will no longer be allowed to enter Mexico. All cruise ships are being ordered to return.
That's right.
All airlines are being ordered to fly out of Mexico and not to return. No freighters, no nothing, no trucks, no border crossings, no nothing until those 4 Americans are returned. If they're not returned by midnight, you will be under a U.S. embargo if they're not returned by midnight safely.
Biden will do nothing. Those people are screwed.
Well, if these 4 people got like Zelensky, if they could pass a bill where the big guy could get 10% of half $500 billion, then he might do something.
And I feel so bad for those people.
And let me tell you, I don't know 100% that they're African American. Watching the video, the woman looks to be black. Where's Black Lives Matter?
No, I think they're black. The woman definitely is.
You've got Black Lives Matter, and you've got all these other liberals out there talking about slavery reparations in the free state of California where there never were slaves. God. And here we have at least 1, maybe 4 African Americans, but no doubt Americans being held hostage by a cartel.
Can anybody do anything? We're the most powerful nation on the planet.
Where's the governor of North Carolina?
And they can't do anything to help these people.
That's exactly right. And this is disgusting, and it's frightening. Now, I've been to Mexico several times.
I don't think you should go anymore.
Well, I don't go to those parts of Mexico.
Jeez.
You know, we go to the tourist areas. This is not a tourist area, but I got to tell you this. The people that run this government are disgusting. We have 4 American hostages that they would be returned. They would have been back Saturday if Trump were in office.
Well, they said they were going there for a medical procedure. I wonder what it was. You know, a lot
dental
of people
work or something
from North Carolina. No, it had to have been something bigger than that. A lot of people that live on the border. Well, we did see one lady who traveled there for dental work.
They could have rented a car in Texas, and those places could be from anywhere. It doesn't have to be. Who knows? But
yeah,
we know they're Americans. It doesn't matter why they were there. Americans should be safe anywhere.
No, I agree. It's just,
and I want you to think about what's going on. We got 4 Americans being held hostage by very violent cartel members. We've got an entire community, an entire city that's across state lines of people being poisoned with toxic gas from the train. And what do we got Biden doing? Stealing money from Ukraine funding, tripping over himself, walking across the bridge in Selma, sniffing women's hair. You know, I mean, what's going on right now is disgusting.
I don't understand how liberals can defend him. They're just so into all the virtue signaling, and if you presented all this stuff to a liberal, they would say to you, "Yeah, but he put the first female Black vice president in office."
Well, let her go down and get them out.
Is that supposed to mean something when he won't do his job and help anybody? I mean, look how he's treating the people in Ohio, East Palestine, and they don't care about Americans. Well, Trump seems to be the only guy who actually cares about Americans.
These are 4 Americans. I don't know anything about them other than they're Americans. I don't need to know anything else about them, but I do know this, that this president does not care. Now, if they were transgender, if or something, you know, then he might get involved. Yeah, but they're just regular Americans, so you know, you're on your own. Now, listen. Mike Lindell, who was at CPAC this weekend, did something just insanely amazing for me this weekend. And I did not realize this at all. So I was talking to Mike Lindell's office last week, and I talked to them a couple times a week. And they asked me what some of my favorite MyPillow products are, right? And I told them, and you guys know I talk about my favorites, like what I consider not just my favorites, but the must-haves. You know, from MyPillow, and they built my very own MyPillow website. It's amazing, and they have all of my MyPillow favorites listed right there on the website with these incredible deals with our promo code Kane, Kane at checkout. The website address is mypillow.com/Kane, Kane. But if you're listening to the podcast on any podcast platform or on YouTube, I have the link in the description, okay? And if you're listening to the live premiere on YouTube, I have it pinned in the chat. And they have all of my favorites there. The brand new MyPillow 2.0 with the cooling technology. Buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. The MyPillow 100% Giza Cotton Dream Sheets. Kathy and I have 6 sets of these. They're buy one, get one free with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Huge discounts on the MyPillow bathrobes, the MyPillow slippers, the dog beds, the 3-inch MyPillow mattress topper that Kathy and I sleep on every night and have for 2 years next month. 40% off. In fact, specials are up to 80% off, 80, up to 80% off on top MyPillow products. So click that link, use my promo code Kane at checkout. It is the MyPillow March Madness sale going on right now, with discounts up to 80% off. The link is in the description of this episode on whatever platform you are listening to us on. Use our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. Now, when you do that, not only are you getting these great MyPillow products, you're supporting Mike Lindell, you're supporting MyPillow, and you're supporting everything I do, all the content I do. The podcast here with Kathy, my YouTube channel, the radio show with Steve Kane. You're supporting all my content when you use our promo code Kane, Kane at checkout. We'll be right back.
Driving while impaired is like lighting a match and threatening to set your life on fire. The aftermath of a DWI can leave individuals dealing with legal, financial, and physical consequences that are difficult to extinguish. In the book, Consequences and Compassion, Lessons from the Front Lines of Drunk, Drugged, and Distracted Driving, author LaDonna Claude shares real stories of people who have experienced the impact of a DWI. This must-read book sheds light on the legal and emotional repercussions that many individuals fail to comprehend, as it instructor at Funny Bone Defensive Driving, the author has had the opportunity to interact with many individuals at their lowest points and provides instruction, motivation, and counseling to students who are struggling to come to terms with their post-DWI lives. Drawing from her years of experience teaching defensive driving, author LaDonna Claude not only highlights the dangers of driving while impaired, but also inspires readers to take responsibility for their actions. Order your copy on Amazon, Amazon Kindle, and BarnesandNoble.com. Consequences and Compassion, Lessons from the Front Lines of Drunk, Drugged, and Distracted Driving from author LaDonna Claude. Are you ready for an adventure like no other? Then you need to read The Mountain from author YYGA, available on Amazon. This thrilling history follows a group of friends as they hike a mountain that has long been shrouded in mystery and terror. Chapter by chapter, you'll follow their journey through the treacherous terrain and the terrifying encounter with an evil creature that pursues them relentlessly. But the friends aren't ones to give up easily. Armed with only their wits and a few makeshift weapons, they gather their courage and face the creature head on in a battle that will change them forever. The Mountain is a short but intense read that will keep you on the edge of your seat until the very end. With each page, you'll discover new secrets about the mountain and the ancient evil that has been trapped within it for centuries. So if you're ready to face your fears and go on a journey you'll never forget, head over to Amazon.com and order your copy of The Mountain from author YYGA. It's a must-read for any lover of adventure and mystery. Meet Colin Hughes, a man who has always chased his dreams. He's been a cowboy, a pilot, and an actor. He was a professional bull rider and competed against some of the legends in the sport of professional rodeo. He announced rodeos, lent his voice to countless projects, and is now a retired airline pilot. But life took a dark turn when his 15-year-old granddaughter ended her own life. It was a pain unlike any he had ever felt before, even worse than losing his daughter to cancer in 2015. But Colin refused to give up. He knew he had to find a way to help others find hope, to inspire them to keep pushing forward in the face of tragedy. That's why he created The Miracles of Tragedy, a podcast where he interviews people who have survived unimaginable loss and pain and have come out on the other side stronger and more determined than ever. Listen to The Miracles of Tragedy and hear those incredible stories of hope and perseverance. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and all major podcast outlets, as well as YouTube. So grab your headphones and tune into The Miracles of Tragedy, the podcast that reminds us that even in the darkest of times, miracles can happen.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Okay, we got something new on Michelle Obama here, and I really don't like. There's some things I don't like talking about, right? I don't like talking about COVID, and I don't like talking about the Obamas. There's other things too, but those are two big things, okay? And Michelle Obama revealed something. She might have to get a room in that mental ward with Fetterman.
She's been revealing a lot.
She's got a lot of issues.
She is spilling her guts about a lot of very personal things lately.
Yeah, well, listen to this. Michelle Obama has revealed how she, quote, uncontrollably sobbed, unquote, after she and her husband Barack left the White House, their home for 8 years, for the final time. Speaking about the milestone moment in a new episode of her podcast. Oh, that must be an interesting podcast, huh? The former First Lady took aim at her husband's successor, Donald Trump. Oh, shocker. Slamming the former president for the lack of diversity that she saw at his inauguration.
Give me a break. That's all that matters to these people. Not about getting the job done or helping the country. It's all about race and transgender. That's all the liberals care about.
What about, okay, Michelle Obama, what about the black American that was thrown in the back of that pickup truck by the drug cartel gunman in Mexico? Could you sob over them instead of, here's a woman who's a millionaire like 50 times over, First Lady, and she's whining and crying over herself.
I know.
You know, that's what we call white people problems.
She's a millionaire to boot.
Yeah, 50 times over. Yeah. But she saw, poor little rich girl. You know, this is like Rose on the Titanic. You know, we were leaving home. We were leaving the home we had been in for 8 years, the only home our kids really knew. the 59-year-old said in a segment of the Michelle Obama The Light podcast, which was shared with People.
Oh, is she the light of the world?
She's the light of the world.
Is that what she's trying to say
She's
there?
the light of the world.
That's the role for Jesus.
Yeah, she's the light. The light. They remembered Chicago, the daughters, but they spent more time in the White House than anywhere. So we were saying goodbye to the staff and all the people who helped raise them. Michelle went on to describe the emotional moment she had when the doors finally shut on Air Force One when they departed. The real reason she was crying is because she was no longer First Lady of the United States. That's why she was crying.
Oh, yeah.
And the power and influence that brings with it. With those doors shut, I cried for 30 minutes straight.
Well, and probably Donald Trump taking over didn't help.
Greatest
for
president
her.
ever.
I mean, I'm sure she hated that.
When those doors shut, I cried for 30 minutes straight, uncontrollable sobbing, because that's how much we were holding it together for 8 years, Michelle Obama said. The former First Lady also spoke of her disappointment about the lack of diversity during Donald Trump's inauguration. To sit on that stage and watch the opposite of what we represented on display.
Oh,
there was no diversity. There was no color on that stage, the former First Lady said. What about her and Barack? Right? She's not counting them. There was no reflection of the broader sense of America. Now, before I read on, this idea that Michelle Obama is from the wrong side of the tracks or something like, Michelle Obama, when she was in high school, her best friend in high school was the daughter of the Reverend Jesse Jackson. And at the time that she was in high school, Jesse Jackson was a big deal. Mm-hmm. He was a big deal. He was the most prominent black man in America. And if you're friends with his daughter in Chicago, you're a big deal too. So she doesn't know anything about being a regular person. She's never been one.
Remember when Eddie Murphy made fun of Oprah? He said, look at Oprah trying to act like she's down with the poor people.
Yeah, exactly. There was no reflection of the broader sense of America. Many people took pictures of me and they're like, you weren't in a good mood. No, I was not, Michelle Obama said.
Yikes.
But you had to hold it together like you do for 8 years. Michelle's new
Wait. This is confusing me. What does she mean by hold it together for 8 years?
I have no idea.
What was she trying to hold together? Her marriage?
Probably.
I mean, that doesn't sound like a positive. She was trying to hold it together for 8 years, and then she was sad when she left. I'm confused.
Michelle Obama's new podcast will debut March 7th and will be exclusive to Audible for 2 weeks. It's an 8-part podcast featuring interviews with guests such as Ellen DeGeneres and Oprah Winfrey. Oh, how exciting. How exciting with Oprah.
2 people we've never heard from before.
Exactly. Discussing topics like race and relationships.
Oh, how interesting.
The announcement of Michelle Obama's second podcast comes after last April, Spotify declined to renew a deal with the Obamas. Which was
because nobody listened to their crap. Right. Nobody cared.
Their Spotify deal was estimated to have been worth tens of millions of dollars, almost twice the deal that Kathy and I have for this one. No.
They should hire us at half the price and we'll get more listeners.
I'll do it for 10% of that.
Exactly.
The Light podcast. Oh my God.
That is such an arrogant.
Yeah. She's a holy figure.
I mean, Jesus is the light of the world. What is she saying here?
Mm-hmm. The Light podcast.
Is she a beacon?
Was born out of a book tour of a woman who has nothing to do in her life, Michelle Obama. No, it doesn't say that, but she's got nothing to do. She was promoting her second best-selling book, The Light We Carry. Oh, boy, she's just carrying.
Oh, it's about our lights. Okay.
She's just carrying lights and carrying things. Since leaving the White House, Michelle has spoken more openly and candidly about her life, including her marriage. Previously, the former First Lady admitted the couple struggled while they were both trying to advance their careers with their daughters. Well, what? That's like life. Everybody struggles, Michelle. Speaking to Revolt in early December, she said, people think I'm being catty for saying this. It's like there were 10 years where I couldn't stand my husband. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, me too. It's still happening.
You mean her husband your husband?
No, her husband. She's not the only one who couldn't stand him.
Well, she couldn't stand him for 10 years. Okay.
Nobody could.
This tells you their marriage is like the Clinton marriage, okay?
Yeah.
The Barack Obama.
Was it the 10 years? Was that the 8 she was trying to hold it together? Yeah. Was that included?
Barack Obama and her were together because they had to have this image to be political people. And this was like an arranged marriage. They never liked each other or wanted to be with one another, but they stuck it out so that they could get where they are. And now they're miserable because they achieved the presidency, and that's it.
Well, she's miserable. What it tells me is that if he didn't go into politics, she would have probably left him.
This part,
and the only reason she stayed with him was because he became president.
Yeah, listen to this next part.
That's what that tells me.
For 10 years, while we're trying to build our careers, what career? She had a fake job at the hospital district.
I know.
Her boss was Valerie Jarrett, and he was a college professor, and he taught like 1 or 2 classes a year. For 10 years, while we're trying to build our careers and worrying about school and who was doing what and what, I was like, this isn't even, whatever that means. And guess what? Marriage isn't 50-50 ever. There are times I'm 70, he's 30. There are times he's 60, 40, but guess what? 10 years. We've been married 30. I would take 10 bad years over 30. It's just how you look at it. People
She's
give
really
up.
harping on those 10 years.
But
what the hell happened?
Well, my guess would be, this is just a guess, that Barack had something going on the side. He had something going on the side. I'm wondering if those 8
years in the White House are encompassed in those 10 years.
Something was going on.
Something was going on. She keeps talking about it.
That 10 years.
All marriages go through rough patches. That's normal. I mean, relationships go through rough patches. But, I think it's really strange. There's the reason she is saying all of this because she wants to humiliate her husband.
That's right.
You're a public figure. And,
wow.
We have a good marriage, but we've had our issues, and like all marriages do. But I would never go public and talk to the listeners and get all personal about our private life.
We didn't have 10 years of misery, I don't think.
Maybe a couple. But just kidding. Maybe a couple weeks here and there. But
a couple weeks.
That's normal. That's normal. So I'm not – 10 years is a long time, though. I will say that. I think most marriages, when you're married a long time – there might be a certain point in the marriage, like at the 10-year mark or the 11-year mark, where you have tension for a while. And it's usually related to money or career or something like that. Marriages go in phases, but for the most part, a marriage, if it's lasting, is good. But clearly, she has a lot of anger towards her husband, which a lot of people can sympathize with. And she is saying these things because she is trying to humiliate him. That's the only reason.
Yeah, he's done something.
She's trying to humiliate him
and you know what?
Let everybody know, look, this guy's not the be-all, end-all.
And you know what? There's something going on with Barack now that she's angry. This is like...
Yeah, there's a lot of anger in her tone.
You know what her marriage is? There's some tinge of like a Will Smith, Jada Pinkett-like marriage. There's something going on.
Yeah, there's jealousy or something is going on that she is not happy, and she wants everybody to know that he... I think what it is people put him on such a pedestal, and she's knocking him off, basically. Like, this guy's not that great. You need to know. I know this guy. I'm his wife. He's not as great as you think. That's what she's saying here. Like, don't think he's the be-all, end-all and the greatest thing in the world, because you know what? He's not. He gave me 10 years of pure hell or whatever. She keeps harping on that. I think it's weird. She's still married to the guy, and I just don't think she should say that no matter how she feels. I mean, what are her kids going to think? Like, what the hell are you trying to say here, Mom?
Yeah, I agree. It's weird. It's very strange.
You can have issues, but if you're married to somebody still, you never hear Bill and Hillary badmouth each other like that. You got to respect that. I mean, they hate each other. They've lived totally separate lives, but publicly they stick together and they stand by each other. Hillary would never come out. I mean, look at all the things Bill Clinton has done to her. I mean, come on. He's a big scumbag. Has she ever come out and publicly thrown him under the bus? I don't think so.
We've been married, 26 years?
Yeah.
Okay, we've been married 26 years.
Yeah.
And Kathy and I have not had a troubled marriage, but the only time there's been there's 2 reasons people have friction in a marriage. We've been married a long time now, so we can give
We've had arguments.
We can
That's normal.
We can give marital advice and analysis because we've been married 26 years. That's a long time.
Yes.
And a lot of you may not know this. Kathy and I knew each other 6 weeks before we got married.
That's right. We can't give you dating advice, but
we
didn't date very long.
No, we dated 6 weeks.
We can give you marital advice.
And by the way, we didn't date 6 weeks and then decide to get married. We were married 6 weeks after we met.
That's right.
That's right. We were actually married 6 weeks.
We decided to get married after 5 weeks.
Yeah, we didn't say, okay, it's 6 weeks now, let's get married. We were married 6 weeks after we met.
I know, we're crazy.
But there's 2 reasons that people have any type of friction in a marriage. 2 reasons. There's an affair or there's financial issues. And
usually, yeah.
And any friction that we've had, I wouldn't compare us to this, but when we were younger, we had, like a lot of young couples, we have financial struggles.
Yeah.
And which is normal, when you're young and you're married and you have a child, and when you're struggling financially, that's stressful, Yeah,
it wasn't so much we were mad with each other. It was more just being in
it's like anxiety over money.
Anxiety
where are we
going
to get the money to pay for things?
Right. And when you're married, you have little bickering and little arguments, here and there. That's typical when you live with anybody. And Brian and I are together all the time, so it happens. But we move on and we'll say we're sorry. Sometimes you say things you don't mean.
Everybody does.
That's typical. But for her to go out, and there's such public people.
Repeatedly talking about this.
Repeatedly talk about these 10 years, years. She wants people to dig a little deeper into this, I think. She keeps saying this. And
it's weird.
She's not giving details, but I almost feel like she wants somebody to figure it out.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
My guess would be, and I'm going to say it, my guess is the problem's Beyonce. And if you watch Beyonce
or Halle Berry,
Beyonce at the second inauguration was very inappropriate with Obama on the inaugural stage at the second inauguration. Go back and watch it. I remember
she's a crazy.
I remember talking about it at the time, and there are probably other Beyoncés around.
Halle Berry, remember she said, I would do anything he asked me to do, and she said, I mean anything. What guy's going to turn that down? I have a prediction to make. She is going to have a book released after her death, like Barbara Bush, and I think it's going to have all the dirty details about Barack Obama in that book. I'm telling you, I'm making the prediction now.
Well, I think
after he's dead.
I think what she's actually doing is building up to a divorce.
No way.
Oh, yeah.
No, never going to happen.
She's going to walk away and be her own woman.
That would be crazy.
I'm serious.
But what do you think? Do you think she'll pull a Barbara Bush and put a book out after they're gone, and it'll have all the dirty detail? I'm telling you, I think she would do that.
Something's going on here with the Obamas. Let us know what you think. Now, I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for your support. Thank you all. Those of you that are Patreon supporters, your support does help us a lot. And there are perks to becoming a Patreon supporter. Patreon supporters, of course, you get access to commercial-free editions of all of our podcast episodes.
Yep.
And which is a good thing, a good benefit. And our top Patreon supporters not only get a live on-air shout-out on the show, our top Patreon supporters have their names listed not just in the podcast descriptions, but in my live stream on YouTube in the morning. Our top Patreon supporters, your names are also credited in the YouTube videos of my live streams in the morning.
Yep.
If you're a top Patreon supporter. And you do get a live on-air shout-out, our top Patreon supporters, on every podcast episode. So the names I'm going to read off now are our top Patreon supporters. I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, ETW, Chuck, Pamela, Rick, Nick, Wesley, Macho, Rome, Wisconsin, Mike P., Paulette, and Carlos. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you all. And if you would like to become a Patreon supporter of the program, there's a link in the episode description on whatever platform you're listening to us on. And there's also a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. We're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, there's a lot more to get into. Don't go anywhere.
Have you ever said to yourself, I can't work and deal with home? Or, that manager's crazy, I'm not doing that. How about this one? These late hours are so stressful. Does anyone else's spouse do this? If you've had any of these thoughts, yep, we hear you. Tune into the Coffee with Christopher podcast on Spotify. Host Christopher Gentry and his guest open up about their unique experiences with work and in life and share the lessons they've learned along the way. Each episode feels like a heart-to-heart conversation, over coffee, of course. If you're ready to connect with the community of people sharing compelling stories, join Coffee with Christopher on Spotify and discover the power of sharing your story. Calling all NFT collectors. There's a hot new drop you won't want to miss. Optimus Force is a collection of limited edition NFTs living on the blockchain. Based on NFT comic books created with blockchain technology, Optimus Force is a game-changing NFT project. Holders of Optimus Force NFTs get exclusive access to rewards, staking, giveaways, and future token releases. Optimus Force is backed by a team ready to bring innovation and fun back into the NFT space by working working hard to create a flourishing and rewarding ecosystem for all Optimus Force NFT holders. Join the Optimus Force NFT ecosystem right now by visiting optimusforce.in and following Optimus Force on Twitter right now. optimusforce.in. Get ready to take flight with Take Flight Empire, the streetwear clothing brand based in Cleveland, Ohio and Smyrna, Georgia. Take Flight Empire is also known as the Inspirational Brand. They specialize in custom t-shirts, hoodies, jogging suits, and much more. Their designs are inspired by creativity in all forms of art. With Take Flight Empire, you can show off your unique style and embrace your creativity. Their clothes are made for those who dare to be different and stand out from the crowd. Follow Take Flight Empire on Instagram at tfe.clothingbrand to see their latest designs and get inspired for your next outfit. And don't forget to check out their website at takeflightempire.org to shop their collection and take your style to new heights. Take Flight Empire, the streetwear brand that inspires you to soar. takeflightempire.org.
You are listening to The Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. All right, Michael Moore is calling for a nationwide boycott. I'll tell you about that in a second, but I want to talk about someone that's just not relevant. You know, he was relevant for a little while, Michael Moore, but he hasn't been relevant in so many years. And then every once in a while, he comes out and says something ridiculous. But anyway, filmmaker Michael Moore has called for a nationwide boycott of Walgreens after the pharmacy chain announced it would not sell abortion pills in 20 states. In February, 20 Republican state attorney generals wrote to Walgreens threatening legal action if Walgreens provides the abortion pill to consumers in their pharmacies across the U.S. On Thursday, Walgreens shifted its plan, sharing that it will not dispense, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, MIFE Pristone, in their states. That's the abortion pill. And I lost my place. Hold on, guys. Let's see here. Okay, and in their states, and it's not planning to ship the drugs to consumers either. So you can't do like a order by mail. That's a reason
to go shop at Walgreens. I think I'll go there tonight and buy $200 worth of stuff.
Yeah, right. I don't think so, Kathy. What are you going to buy $200 worth of Walgreens?
You'd be surprised.
Oh my goodness!
Shampoo, things that. Yeah.
Following the announcement, Michael Moore urged readers of his website. Who's reading his website?
I don't know.
Do people still read websites? I don't know. Anyway, following the announcement, Michael Moore urged readers on his website to boycott Walgreens, characterizing Walgreens as a pharmacy chain that stands with anti-abortion extremists against the rights of women. The decision by Walgreens to further cement women's status as second-class citizens must be meant forcefully by each and every one of us, wrote Michael Moore. Every day of our silence is another day of you and I enabling the bigotry. And
how is it bigoted?
Well, this is why I shared this story, okay?
Oh,
this is why I shared this story. This is the bigotry of the left. Michael Moore assumes that most people that have abortions are black.
That's right.
And that black women need to have abortions, that there's, because if you're born black, you're born into poverty.
Exactly.
So you should be aborted. And the whole reason I shared the story was because of that one statement. You know, the Democrats have always been racist. They still are racist. And when you listen to them and hear what they say, every once in a while, the truth comes out with these people.
You're right. He's very irrelevant. Nobody, his glory days, if you can call them that, are over. I mean, he's just his Roger and me days are over. That was 25 years ago,
maybe 30.
Young people
35.
don't even know who he is. They're lucky.
They are lucky. They are lucky.
I mean, he's just insignificant. But Did you see this thing where Jon Stewart was arguing with this conservative I've never heard of about how drag shows are okay because they're not dangerous. You'll have to find the audio. He was like talking over this guy, yelling at this guy, and his whole logic was, school violence, like gun violence, is much more dangerous. Well, obviously, you can compare something to anything to the most extreme.
Yeah.
And you can say, well, that's the real danger. Drag shows are dangerous too. What benefit? What I would have asked Jon Stewart, this guy was clearly not qualified to debate because he just sat there and took it like Jon Stewart's B. He should have said to him, he should have said to him, tell me this, Jon Stewart. What benefit is it for children to go to these shows? How does it benefit them? I do not understand parents that take their kids to these shows. I see fathers there. I think they're in the closet, or these are gay people. They've got to be gay parents. I see fathers at these things. They show the kids putting money in G-strings. What is wrong with these?
Okay, well, I'll tell you. Okay, the thing with the drag shows,
you got to find that audio of Jon Stewart. It's classic.
I'm not going to spend 10 seconds listening to Jon Stewart. You could just paraphrase it.
He's a jerk.
I'm fine with that. But the drag shows with the kids in the schools, this is the result of gay adoptions and going on in this country. But drag shows are fine. They're adult entertainment. Drag shows are adult entertainment.
I've been to a drag show when I was like 22 when I went.
When I first started working with Steve, we had a sponsor on our radio station that was a dinner theater, and it wasn't a gay place. It was, for regular
that's the one
people.
I went to in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah, and it was called the Cabaret.
Yeah,
and they had very top talent drag queens, and it was a very high-end dinner show. And we advertised for them. I went there many times and everything. But we weren't – drag shows are not for children. What drag shows are really are strip shows. They're strippers.
Well, also it's confusing to kids. When I went to the drag show, I was in college. I was like 21. My mom and my stepdad took me for my birthday. I'd never been to one, so they thought it'd be funny. And
it was fun.
It was fun, and they were good. I went to that same place you're talking about.
The Cabaret.
And I was confused, okay? And I was in college, and I knew what was what, but those guys look like ladies, and I could not figure out where they put their business. I really could not tell. I'm like,
you know what they did? They tape.
I mean, it was smooth sailing down there. There was nothing, no bulge, nothing, and I was so confused by this. And that's what my stepfather told me. He said, no, they pull it back, and I'm like, that has got to hurt. I was confused, and I was an adult, so I can only imagine. And I saw a couple videos of these kids. It's so disgusting. They put them in a chair, like when you have like a bridal shower, and they put the bride in a chair, and then they hire a male stripper, and he sticks his privates in her face, and she takes off his clothes and all this. Not that I did that. I didn't have a bridal shower, but I know people that have. And they hire male strippers, or a bachelor party, and they have a stripper, and they put the groom or the bride in the chair, and they do a dance and all this. This is what they do with the kids. They put them in a chair in the middle of a room while the drag queen is dancing around them. You don't think that's confusing?
And
I saw a couple where the kids, the look on their face, they looked horrified.
And sometimes they give cash to the kids, and they put dollar bills in their G-strings.
I mean, it's sickening.
It's adult entertainment.
It's adult entertainment.
There's a lot of things that are fine for adults.
Right.
Okay. Bars.
It's adult entertainment.
Bars are fine, and I enjoy going to bars. But
you wouldn't take a 5-year-old bar hopping.
You don't take a bar to an elementary school.
No.
And have a bartender serve tequila shots to the kiddies.
That would be something.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And what it's really,
crazy.
and I'll tell you this, okay, even though this is borderline, but it's not a stripper thing. You wouldn't it would be inappropriate at a school to bring the Hooter girls in to serve Hooters wings to the kids at the school in their Hooters uniforms.
Let me tell you,
that would be inappropriate
if they did that, you want to see some mothers get upset. Oh, the fathers probably wouldn't.
The fathers would all be there that day.
That's the one day they'd show up. But but let me tell you, bring some Hooters girls to the elementary school, you'll see some pissed off moms. But
no, it would be inappropriate.
Yeah, totally inappropriate. And
because Hooters mean, first off, the name Hooters means they're boobs,
right?
And all the clothes.
We all know this.
All the clothes they wear are
very
3-4 sizes too small.
There's teachers that get fired for having OnlyFans accounts. I just read a story where a teacher got fired. And OnlyFans, I don't know too much about it, but I'm assuming you have to be 18 or whatever. But I guess anybody could go in there and lie.
I don't know.
But there's teachers that have been fired. It just happened. They found out she had an OnlyFans. She was an elementary school teacher. She lost her job, which she should. This happens all the time. So they'll fire a teacher over having a private OnlyFans account, but they'll bring drag queens into the school.
Well, that's nudity and pornography.
That's a slim line with that. I mean, they're dressed very scantily. And like I said, it's very confusing. And I'm sure they're fun and make jokes and try to make it funny. But the drag show I went to, it was very adult humor.
It's all
very adult humor.
Well, Kathy, these videos you see in the schools are for adults. You know, when I was in school, we had Smokey the Bear, McGruff the Crime Dog.
Yeah, McGruff.
You know, we didn't have like
now they have drag queens.
We didn't have these drag queens coming in. You know, doing strip shows.
Kids don't know who Smokey the Bear is anymore.
But you know, it
just robs them of their innocence.
Just to highlight it, though, because you know when people talk about this, there's a lot of things that are okay for adults that are not appropriate for children, and these drag shows go to show you how out of sync with reality that the gay parents are. Now, not all gay parents have adopted, because sometimes lesbians, you know, they'll have a child. They'll give birth, you know, and things like that.
They'll go to the sperm bank,
you know, and things like You know, I had a friend who was.
I know this story.
I knew a friend who was gay, a gay guy.
I walked into this story.
This one, listen to this, guys. This is crazy. So this guy I knew was a gay guy, and he was a well-known radio talk show. So I'm not going to say his name, but he was very famous radio guy here in Florida, and he had these two lesbian friends who were both beautiful, and they look like models, and they were both attorneys. One was an attorney, and one was an accountant. And they had a third gay. There's a third gay friend, right? Because the fourth. They had another gay friend, this guy, and he was donating sperm, and it was costing them. And this was in the early '90s. It was costing them over $50,000, and it wasn't taking and everything. And I said, "Well,
oh my Lord,
why doesn't she just have sex with him for free?" As opposed to, you know, spending the $50,000, and the gay guy, the gay radio guy says, "Oh no, that lesbian doesn't want a girlfriend to go near the penis, because that could be."
She might like it too much. He said,
"Yeah, that's what he said. She might like it, so she'd rather spend $50,000 as opposed to doing it the freeway." But you know, that's true story. What's going on though with these drag shows at the schools?
Yeah,
it's so inappropriate. It's hard for me to believe that it's even happening. You know, when when you see
parents go, they take their kids,
and when you see them do it, the clothing they wear are like thongs and things like this.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
I mean, how did that? They have dress codes in school still, don't they?
I thought so.
Yeah,
I guess not with the drag people.
I don't know, guys. I just know this, that
it's a bizarre world.
That since Trump left the White House for his first term, the whole country's gone to heck, you know, and only Trump can save us. And I just want to talk a little bit about today in the news cycle about DeSantis and Trump. Okay, Fox News carried the Trump speech at CPAC on Saturday, and today you would not even know what happened. They're talking about DeSantis's boring speech in California. And they're trying to craft a credible candidate out of DeSantis against Trump. And they're trying to craft an image of Trump that just isn't taking, you know, because we all love him. And I don't want people to think that Fox News is going to all of a sudden start carrying Trump. They're not. What happened on the weekend, and what I think happened was this, okay? Yeah. Why did Fox News carry the Trump speech? I think this is what happened. Steve Bannon was at CPAC, and he was really calling out Fox News, okay? And Mark Levin went on stage and said, you know, there's people here saying if we could only get rid of Fox News, if we lost Fox News. And I think what happened is Mark Levin was at CPAC, and these people live in ivory towers and everything, okay? They're very well connected. They are in elite circles. And I think Mark Levin was at CPAC around regular people, and they were telling him, we love you, but we hate Fox News because of the Trump blackout. And I think that Mark Levin got on the phone with Tucker and Hannity, and they might have got on the phone with the Murdochs and said, I'm over here at CPAC, and they hate us. We got to care. And I think they carried the Trump CPAC speech because of that. But if, like I said, if on this Monday, throughout the day, you wouldn't even know Trump spoke over the weekend. And they're trying to make a big deal out of a very boring and uneventful speech that DeSantis gave. You know, this thing he said, Florida's where woke comes to die. Well, okay, that's like 6 months ago or a year ago. It was funny.
Well, that's what Kellyanne Conway said. They had her and Karl Rove and some other jerk talking about Trump and DeSantis. And she said this thing DeSantis is talking about wokeness, she said that's old. He needs to talk about the economy and things that people care about. And she said this whole thing of him harping on wokeness coming to Florida to die, she said that's tired. People don't care about wokeness that much. And she's right. We care, but there's more important things. And he's done a lot of good things in this state that he should highlight. But then some Martha McCallum I was watching the interview because I want to see what they talked about Trump. And Martha McCallum said to this one guy, I can't remember his name. She said, well, Trump is the leader of your party. And he got oh no, he said, let's not say that right now. Let's see who else jumps in the ring. That tells me right there that DeSantis is going to definitely run. And this was like a deep state guy. He said, oh no, don't say that so soon. Let's see who else is going to jump in. That to me was a big indicator of, that he thinks DeSantis is going to be the leader of the party.
We're here in Florida, and we've got the experience of everything great DeSantis has done, and even we're soured on him because of this. And that speech he gave in California was so uninteresting and so uneventful, especially when you compare it to the perfect speech that President Trump gave Saturday night at CPAC.
And I hate to say this, but I think it was a big FU to Trump to have the speech the same weekend as CPAC. And to not go to CPAC and try to draw attention away from that. I think that was a big fail. And I was talking to my dad about it and my stepmom, and you had lunch with them, dinner with them the other night. And she was like me when Trump was attacking DeSantis at first. She was very upset about it. And she said, I don't know, that really makes me mad and this and that. Well, they have definitely done a 180 like I have. And you were talking to them about the book. And my dad said, no, he's in with all the Bushes. He said, that's what everybody's saying up here. And he lives in a very conservative part of Florida. Yeah. He said, everybody up here. And he knows people in town. He's was a Commodore, my dad. He's in a golf club. He knows everybody in the city. And he said, they're all saying that DeSantis is a traitor to Trump and that he's in with the Bushes. And they said nobody likes him up here. And they don't want him. They like him as a governor. They all like him as a governor, but not as a president right now. And the problem DeSantis has is if there was no Trump around, he could win the nomination. But the problem is he's got to knock Trump off his perch. And that's not going to happen. Trump is standing in his way. He is not going to go anywhere as long as Trump's in the mix. It's not going to happen. And that's his big problem is he has this big obstacle of Trump, and there's nothing he can do about it. If Trump wasn't running, then he'd have a shot. Well, a good shot. But the problem is Trump. He's not going to get past it.
I just want to say one last thing, and then we're going to end because we're running out of time, and it's getting late. But
it is getting
on the radio today. Okay, on the radio today. Yeah. I was asking our callers from Florida, if Ron DeSantis runs against Trump in the primary and then he gets nasty with him, would you sign a recall petition against Governor DeSantis? Now, in Florida, we don't have a recall system, okay? He's there. But every caller said, yes, I would sign a recall petition. And
really?
The reason I did that is because, the Steve Kane radio show that I co-host is the longest running radio show in the state of Florida.
Right.
Been on the radio since 1977. This is the 46th year that the Steve Kane show has been on the radio in Florida. And I've been on the air here for over 30 years now. Okay. We're the political show of record. We're the radio station of Mar-a-Lago. People in Trump's orbit, including the president himself, have listened to the program and do listen, as well as people from the governor's office and campaign and around there. And this is not something I would normally do, and if I did, it's not something I would normally talk about. Okay, I'm not a bragging. I brag to Kathy in private
a little bit.
I don't brag on the air or to you guys too much. But I guess I get really excited about something. The reason I was doing that is because I wanted President Trump to hear that people would sign a recall petition against DeSantis. I wanted Trump's campaign people to hear it. I wanted Governor DeSantis and his people to hear that what he's doing is so serious that hardcore MAGA Republicans are prepared to sign a recall petition. I know it means nothing. It would be symbolic because we don't have a recall system in Florida. But when Floridians that are MAGA are saying that, DeSantis needs to decide whether or not he's going to have a future or not, because his political career would be over.
I don't know. He's lost a lot of weight, DeSantis. He's dropped about 25 pounds. His suits are too big. Maybe he went to California to get some tips on skinny suits.
I don't know.
From Gavin Newsom.
He's lost weight.
But I think him and Gavin Newsom are friends. And I know that sounds crazy, but I think they're gearing up to run against each other, if not now in 2028. These guys all know each other, and I don't know. I could be wrong, but they go back and forth. That helps them politically to do that, But he's definitely gearing up for something. He's lost a lot of weight. His suits are big on him now. He's got to get a whole new wardrobe. His wife can help him with that and dress him like Jackie Kennedy or JFK. But something's happening, and he seems, I hate to say this, almost smug. A little more arrogant than usual when I watch him. I think the fame and the adoration is going to his head a little bit. What do you think? You saw him in person.
I told you about that at the time.
Yeah. You think you had like a feeling.
I said he seemed different. Yeah.
You're right. He does wear cowboy boots with 2-inch heels. That's interesting.
Yeah, like the Tom Cruise
Cruise shoes.
Yeah. Well, listen, we're all out of time, but leave your comments at the bottom of the episode and let us know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. And don't forget, in the description of this episode, on whatever platform you're listening to, whether you're on YouTube or one of the podcast platforms, is a list to my personal MyPillow page where Mike Lindell and his office have put together a special MyPillow page. It's mypillow.com/Kane. And with our promo code Kane, Kane, you get these huge discounts up to 80% off during the MyPillow March Madness sale. And what is on that website are all of my favorites and what I consider to be the must-have MyPillow products, including the Bible pillows, okay? So
that's great for Easter.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? I forgot about those.
Mm-hmm.
Easter's coming up.
That's
We're now in Lent. Easter's coming up in about a month. That would be a really great gift for the kids to put in their Easter basket.
That's
or
right.
Put next to their Easter basket. That's a great idea.
In the episode description on whatever platform you're listening to is the link to my very own MyPillow website page that Mike Lindell gave me with all of my favorites with discounts up to 80% off with our promo code Kane at checkout, Kane. And remember, every time you buy a MyPillow product, you're supporting all of my content, the podcast, my YouTube channel, the radio show, everything. And it helps out a lot. You got to use the promo code Kane, Kane. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll talk to you next time.
The debut novel from author T.K. Jenkins, Lydia Rose and the Annals of Vina, is now available on Amazon. Lydia's morning routine at Rosalie House was no different from any other day. Little did she know that her visit to Gwyndoniya Castle, the home of Lady Adelia Ronan, would alter the course of her life. Lady Ronan presented Lydia with the Lamania Stone, a sacred object that would warn her of impending danger and urged her to protect it at all cost. As the sun set, Lydia found herself grappling with the significance of the stone and questioning its true purpose. Days later, a letter arrived requesting her presence in London. Accompanied by her father and grandfather, Lydia embarked on a journey to London that would forever change her life. What happens next? Find out when you read Lydia Rose and the Annals of Vina. Available in Kindle, paperback, and hardcover editions on Amazon. This book is perfect for book clubs. Order your copy right now.